Welcome back to the show, everyone. Craig and Jonah here. Um, Jonah has no idea what we're going to talk about, and quite frankly, I don't know much more other than I have a little nugget of an idea. Um, Before I do that, though, I wanted to congratulate myself. I've been doing a lot of reading lately.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't know
Kama
why.
Sutra.
Yeah, well, not quite. Love and Responsibility,
All right.
The Sinner's Guide to Natural Family Planning, which I'd heard a lot about. It was it was a bit of a letdown, honestly.
Oh,
It wasn't as good as I thought.
why?
Um the way I impression I got was she was pretty edgy. Like she was a Catholic, but wasn't all rah theology of the body and
Mm.
abstinence is the most wonderful, beautiful thing in the world. And there's some of that. She kind of, I don't know, spills some reality on all of
Yeah,
that.
I love married abstinence.
Yeah.
Like that's just
But
awesome.
but she stopped short a few times. I mean, overall I thought it was okay. But you could tell it was still written by a woman.
Mm. In what way?
Well, it's
Just because intimacy is more of a, it's not necessarily a need. Kind of, is that what you mean?
yeah, exactly. Like it's still clear to me that there's just a very different experience for men and women when it comes to intimacy and how much they need it, how difficult it is to go without.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing did catch my attention. Um, and again, I don't know what her line of communication is with her husband. Like, I think they have 9 kids, or at least they did when they wrote the book.
Mm-hmm.
And but she was talking about it, and it was satirical, but the message was husbands, don't be nasty or sullen towards your family when you're abstaining. Um, don't shun her when she's fertile, so that when you get the green light, she knows she'll be hurt by your attitude, that your sex life will be abysmal.
Mm.
Go ahead. So I was like, I don't, does she understand what PMAS is like? Does she understand the male experience when it comes to abstaining?
Well, she doesn't know.
Yeah.
There's no way she could.
Yeah. And I'm not defending male crabbiness during the abstinence periods, but
I mean, and in reality, it's probably the shunning is the other way around. Like if your wife is ovulating, but she says it's time, are you really going to say no?
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I would say that's a very rare percentage. It's more the female willpower that's making NFP work, I would say.
You've never been chased around the house?
I've never said no.
Yeah. If I'm the final line of defense here, we're in trouble.
Well, and that's it was fun. And I know of a guy who he had 5 kids, and they were all boys, and so his wife wanted to have another baby, and he was like, "Nope, I'm gonna hold out. We're done. We just financially and everything. We're just done." They had another kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he was bragging about his willpower, but then it just all falls apart in real life.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever gotten to the point where it had been long enough. My wife was like, come, give me another child. I was always the weak link. Well, I was always the motivating force, and she was the weak link that finally surrendered. But it's kind of nice in your weird Catholic NFP imagination to imagine yourself being pursued and having to say no to her when she really.
You're talking, I think less than 5% of guys can do that. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, and this is a good note for all the women out there, all the wives. There is nothing that a guy wants more than to be pursued.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
yeah.
When that happens, it is something that you think about all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
yeah, you'll remember back 10 years ago.
It's just like compliments and being pursued by your wife. Those are very rare things in reality.
It'll be etched in your brain forever.
Forever. It's true.
Mm-hmm. I remember being woken up on my wife one time.
One time.
That's the only time I remember. I'm sure if there was more, I would remember.
Yeah, I mean,
And I may have said like, yeah, you can do this anytime you want.
that's true. Another point. That's another point. It can happen anytime.
Yeah, you never need to wonder what our answer will be.
No, no. I mean, and I'm sure that it is painful for the wives that do deal with the husband that turns them down all the time. But I'm sure that's very painful. But in fairness, it is really painful for us too.
Yeah.
I mean, and it happens more frequently to husbands, I would think.
I suppose it is more painful for those women who know that, this is the common experience of guys, that it's we're the ones that are always there to say yes. And then to have, let's say that I don't even know if it's a rare husband, the set of circumstances where you have a husband that's just like, no, like there's obviously something pretty significant going on in that home where he's got some problems or baggage that he's dealing with, because that's pretty unnatural.
It is, because I mean, and then too, for her, she has nobody to like talk to about it, whereas we can just commiserate about it all the time.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's right.
It's just a common experience. So I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the point I was actually going to make here is so the podcast that will be unnamed that I spend a lot of time talking about had an interesting comment the other day, and it was the other co-host who doesn't speak as much online but anyway, the episode was on pregnancy sex and how that,
oh gosh.
well,
Okay,
they were talking about how do you navigate that, and men, how do you kind of relate to what your wife is going through. And like, I think for most women, first trimester is just, you're not feeling very good and get away from me, don't put your hands on me kind of thing. But then second trimester, for at least the one co-host, is like, I feel great. And she's like, we go crazy during the second trimester. And I can say for us, the second trimester is usually really, really good too.
No.
Some women experience sort of a desire and a libido that they don't have any other time. But she made the comment that, yeah, during the second trimester, when we're not worrying about charting, we're not worrying about abstinence, like we can kind of do it whenever we want. She said our marriage thrives. Our marriage always thrives.
Oh no. My gosh, no surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make me mad, because I mean, that's just the truth.
I was thinking of,
no kidding. Oh my gosh. But isn't that how we're supposed to live? And that's where the issue that I have with NFP is you're willfully overcoming this gift of reproduction that you have, but you're hurting your own marriage. It comes at a cost. It comes at such a cost, because when you are having a frequently intimate life, things are much better in your house. No matter, I mean, I'm not going to say no matter what, but 99% of the time. Whereas if you are willfully abstaining when she's most fertile and most interested, and just in general, like, I mean, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, I thought of you immediately when she said that. Now,
No,
this was not the one that you and I have. This was the other host that made this observation. But I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I so badly wanted to go into their group and comment on, but
You didn't?
No, I'm still on a self-imposed shutting.
It's been a while, right?
Yeah. I can go forever on this kind of stuff.
I mean,
but I was like, you have no idea how close you are to, like, because
you got it.
Yeah.
You finally got
it. And of course, this is the same podcast that at one point, or I think when we had our conversation, she's like, yeah, if your marriage falls apart after, let's say, a year of abstinence, that means you've got some underlying problems going on, and that sex was just kind of hiding those problems, which, okay, maybe that's true. But I'm like, I don't know. Is this just
perhaps intimacy is supposed to heal those problems.
I'm convinced of it.
I am too. Totally.
I think we Catholics have this fear of people enjoying intimacy too much.
Mm-hmm. But really, it's the glue that holds you together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, from my own personal experience, since, we're in a sort of an extended abstinence or extended infertility period because of our last born child. We're not really having, lengthy periods of abstinence, and it's incredible. Like, it changes everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just see every day something that seems better about our relationship. Now, does it all stem back to this? I know it changed immediately after.
I would say that it absolutely changes your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just does.
Yeah.
Boy, that really, oh gosh, like, no kidding. Like,
yeah.
What did the other host say then?
I don't remember. I was so dumbfounded by what she said, but she didn't disagree with her. I think she more or less agreed with her, but I just thought that was such a telling statement.
Because that other host said that abstinence is a blessing.
Yeah.
But really, everything can fall apart, quickly during those periods. I mean, and I'm not saying that, you shouldn't have more self-control or whatever, but I mean, there is a natural component to all this.
I think so. Because I got to thinking, okay, so you compare. Okay, so they're pregnant. They're already pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, technically they're open. The procreative aspect of sex is still there, but come on, what is more likely to result in more procreation? Intimacy when you're pregnant, or pulling out, or something else like that, right?
Yeah, I have never really understood that, or postmenopausal. Then they go back to Abraham and Sarah. So sure, I'll give you that one. But during pregnancy, are you going to get more pregnant or what? Right. Does that ever happen?
Yeah. So how does your marriage thrive when you are, let's say, frequently, constantly having intimacy without any procreative potential there?
Yeah,
any potential is purely philosophical. It is not rooted in biology at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of breadcrumbs leading her there. I just don't know. Like, that is always, kind of bothered me too. Like, that you can have sex while you're pregnant, because I don't understand why.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair counter response to our sort of more the traditional Catholic teaching about this, and I don't think the explanations are all that helpful. It just boils down to, well, that's what the church teaches, so obviously it must be right. And yeah, maybe. I mean, but that I'd still like to ask some questions about it. It doesn't seem all that convincing to me.
So I'm gonna, just in fairness, I will report this. So there is an extremely rare chance of getting pregnant while you're pregnant. There have only been 10 recorded cases of this in human history. It is called superfetation, and I am not sure if they survive. I don't know. It just seems like
maybe if you got pregnant right away, early on in the first pregnancy or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, in this picture they did. So this is an article from CNN.
How would they know, though? I don't know how they would know that you'd already been pregnant.
Just a second. I'm going to read this on the fly here.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, so this is and this here, they had an ultrasound taken at 12 weeks that showed that this child had an unexpected little sister, a fraternal twin. So it is a case where they were pregnant and then got pregnant again, like at a very early stage. So that would seem to make sense too. But they were 3 weeks apart. They were considered 3 weeks apart. So that's a little different, than being like, 6 months along and then.
That seems like a medically dangerous situation there. Maybe people should be abstaining when they're pregnant, so they
be careful what you say, buddy. You don't know where the rules are going to come from. But
I think I can outlast these
these changes that are going to occur because of that? Or...
Yeah, I think I could hold my own against those people. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's an extremely rare circumstance, but it does happen, I guess. So,
I mean, this is sort of a point I've tried to want to make for a while, but you know, this whole, Catholic sexual morality, well, let's say marriage morality, is premised on this idea that sex has two fundamental components that can't be separated artificially, so to speak: the unitive and the procreative.
and in the Eastern Church, they have a different view.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that how it varies, but you're that's what we're always taught. That's sort of the message of Humani Vitae, is they are inseparable. Which, okay, and I can logically see that and how it stands against birth control and stuff like that. But what we tell people, so there seems to be, they want to have their cake and eat it too, because they want to say that yes, intimacy has a fundamental positive unity to it, which
it does.
Yeah, and the pregnant, the comment about how their marriage flourishes during the second trimester makes sense. It has a very enormous positive unity component to it, even if procreation is no longer really. I mean, is it a theoretic possibility? Yes, but as a practical matter, it's not. There's no more procreation going on. It's purely unity and pleasure or whatever. It has very positive impacts on the marriage. So, and I think we all understand that you can have very negative impacts on your marriage the longer you go without that unity. Like, I think it's actively eroding your marriage,
totally,
despite what Christopher West of the world might say. So what do we so the proposal is, if you can't engage in intercourse and be open to life, you must just have no unitive act. Like like and then they're like, oh, abstinence is a positive thing. Okay, either unity is a good thing for the marriage or it's not. And you are actively depriving your marriage of a positive unitive component if you just refrain from all intimacy, as opposed to, let's say, having intimacy under circumstances where there isn't a real procreative potential there.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say too, like, just when we are frequently intimate, just the relief that's there.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. Like, you don't have to worry about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, as far as just how you feel, or how you just how you go through life. I don't know.
Well, I guess what I would promote is this. I without wading into the quagmire about when it's what kind of acts are morally illicit or not, but I will say that as long as you are in let's say a quote unquote infertile time period, you should really make time and effort for intimacy.
Yeah.
I mean, you got kids, you want your husband operating at full capacity. The more he's in the bliss period, the better he's going to be able to help you, the more sensitive he's going to be. It's
true, because once you get to the roommate stage, it just kind of it's not the same. Like, it's just it's not that you're not helpful or whatever, but it's just not the same. Like, you're not as sensitive. There's a barrier there, a mental barrier. It's not even like this psychological thing where you're upset or whatever. I'm sure that's a small component, but there's some biological sort of component to this bliss period. And
I mean, maybe husbands look like we are sulking or whatever, we're pouting, and maybe to some degree we are, but it's a combination of PMAS. This really wears you down. It does affect your attitude. Like, you have to try really hard to be positive and upbeat when you're in the throngs of PMAS. but you also are, I think, intentionally or unintentionally trying to repress feelings of affection for your wife, because that just makes it worse.
Totally. Yep.
So absolutely. Shunning you, but that's because of the battle your husband's going through, and if he's trying to like refrain from solo acts and stuff like that,
hey, you're not going to make it worse than yourself.
I mean, So yeah, and maybe the perfect husband can avoid all that, but I think
Maybe
realistic.
Christopher West is some sort of sexual Jedi.
Yeah,
Like he could just repel all
right,
these feelings
right.
and still be perfectly affectionate and all that with his wife, and still maintain he's master of his domain.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think if that's the standard, I think you are talking about an extraordinarily small part of the human population, and for the most of us that are, not terrible people, we're trying, but
Mhm.
realistically, we're not going to handle the situations that
And
way.
that's where certain people that have another podcast would say that you are called
Yeah.
to that kind of suffering.
Love demands it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But John Paul II also said you should take the needs of your spouse ahead of your own. So I don't know how you fit, compromise those two, or how that fits together.
Well, the only way I can reconcile their view and our view is that the husband needs to be perpetually giving his wife an orgasm every 19 minutes. And even if it goes on for 3 weeks, it's still technically part of the same
Part of the act.
I don't think there's anything that says that she can only have one. So you just keep her going.
Keep it going.
Keep her going. There's a threading the needle of the rules for you folks.
Take some time off of work and
yeah.
I don't know, man.
Sucks for the man, but
lack of sleep. Yeah, that'd be tough. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's once you get that deep into the rules, it's I don't know. It's tough to see what reality really, how it all really fits together.
Yep. I agree. So
well,
I'll keep reading, and we'll keep drumming up these strange stories from the internet and the Old Testament, and
all roads lead to Onan.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. If we go off air, it means we finally got the time machine fixed, and we're.
But we would come back at the same time,
yeah,
so we could record on it.
Yeah, maybe. Well,
with Onan.
Yeah. Well, and we're gonna come back fit and trim, because we're gonna take a year off, and we're just gonna like get ripped and.
Oh, having a time machine would be its own set of issues. If you could really control all that.
Yeah.
You go crazy.
Yeah. That's probably a good thing we haven't figured it out. So
definitely.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you, Jonah.
You bet.
And until next time, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good one.